Hello and welcome to Loppy Loves Iceland. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lauren and on this channel I talk about my life as an immigrant living in Iceland. Today we have another episode of interviews with the Innlendingar, and today I am talking to Lena, who is the coach of Iceland's first and only netball team. We have a really great conversation about the positives and the negatives of living in Iceland. And Lena has such a lovely energy and it's a very fun conversation. I think you will really enjoy. So I am here with Lena. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Lena, or Lena in German. I'm from Germany originally. I've now lived here for almost 6 years. I've done a few countries. Iceland is my seventh. Yeah,
Wow.
I've kind of, been traveling a while. So.
Yeah, where else have you been then? Where else?
Oh, I actually I want to really, you have this one cool question that I really am going to split it all up and tell you all about it. So maybe we'll save that for later.
Okay,
It's really cute places.
So why did you move to Iceland then?
Well, once upon a time, I met an Icelandic man.
Often the case.
About 7 years ago, maybe a little bit less, 6.5. My mom, she really, she loves Iceland. She has an Icelandic horse and all the things. And when I finished my bachelor studies, she gave me a trip to Iceland for my graduation. And we went here, and there was a very handsome man who checked us into his guest house where we stayed on a farm all the way up in the north, and he is now my husband.
What?
So yeah. It was really like a cheesy Netflix movie, like we literally, he took me out horse riding and we rode into the sunset together. And, at the time I was moving to Glasgow for work. So he just, booked a flight and came to visit me, and we did long distance for a while. And, he couldn't really move. They had a farm. It was a little bit complicated, so then I ended up moving here.
Wow. It's like a film,
Yeah, you could really make like one of those rom-coms over it, I think. Yeah.
So is that still the reason that you live in Iceland?
Definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just got married, so I guess I'm in this for life now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you speak Icelandic?
I do with my mom-in-law. I'm in like a weird place where I have days where I'm fluent. I have days where I don't speak at all. It's like, yeah, it's like you have this bit in between, because I've been, I just started working for an Icelandic company at the start of the year. So I'm really hoping to kind of use it more at work as well. But I'm in that place where I always understand what people are talking about. Sometimes I don't know the details, so it's like it's hard to make that switch as well, and then there's like one person at my work who just doesn't speak at all. So I also feel rude, like when we're at lunch, like I always want to be inclusive. So then I think the standard is still kind of English for me.
Yeah.
That's
the thing as well. If you're in a group and not everyone speaks Icelandic, those
Yeah.
that moved here, we all know how it feels to be that person. So
Yeah, exactly. And like I always want to make space for others to experience that, because I know how difficult that was for me when I moved here, and I think Icelanders are weird with it. They have weird expectations of people just learning this language within like a month or two, that's just not possible. And then people still like, even if I approach them in Icelandic, I mean, we all know this, there's amazing people who are so kind and they speak slowly and they really want to, kind of help you with this. But there's also people who just switch to English straight away and they don't have the patience. So it's, it's tricky depending on who you're surrounded with. But, my farm family here, my mom-in-law, for example, I mean, her English is totally decent. She would just say like, oh no, I don't speak it well, she's totally fine. But for her, I would love to speak Icelandic with her. She's always been so kind to me, so I want to make that up.
Yeah, it's nice to have those people around you who encourage it as well, and I think that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, what do you miss most about home?
So here I will give you my breakdown of countries, because I don't really, it's hard for me to say, because like I left Germany when I was 18. So like, yes, that's my home, but also I have not lived there in quite a long time. I mean, 18, that's at least 2 years, let's say. No, but it's quite a while ago. And, so I miss something from every country I've lived in. I really have this like third culture now where I wish I could make a country from all the things I love,
Mm-hmm.
And I broke it down for you. So, before this, I lived in Glasgow, Scotland. So from there, I miss Pisano's pizza and the West End, just Scottish people in general.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I studied in the Netherlands, and I love the cheese. And yeah, I did live in Korea for a while as well. I really love the parties and the underground and so like the tube, they have amazing infrastructure. It's so cool. Then I lived in England. I really like English breakfast all the way, and just the countryside and how beautiful it is. It's like really, really nice. Um, and then before that, I was in Australia, where oh my God, I miss it all. I love Australia so much. The sun, the people, the beach. It's just one of the best places in the world. And from Germany, I miss my family, of course, and just, I guess, easy kind of shopping and just accessibility of everything. Just being in mainland Europe is very nice. And it's quite funny, this like insanity of Icelanders when they shop abroad. I don't know if you've experienced this, like
Multiple places.
yeah, like, it's like my husband, like he would used to come, like when we did long distance, he would come visit me, or we would meet up in Germany or something. And, I was like, this man just wants to shop. I was like, he's crazy. Like every time he wants to go shopping, I'm like, I don't get it. Does he just love it? I'm like, that's so weird. And now I'm like the same. I'm like, the minute I start,
You have to like fill up and stock up on things. Yeah.
Before I come home, my mom's like, yeah, I've designated your room to the Amazon packages. It's okay.
My mum as well. Yeah, I have so many deliveries going to my.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I miss. It's just, stuff, I guess.
I remember a conversation with a work colleague where he told me that like he was maybe in his 30s, even 40s maybe, where he finally realised that he doesn't have to take like a big case if he goes on holiday. He can just go like a weekend break with hand luggage, because for him it was always like if you go abroad, you have to buy as much as possible.
Right?
And it took him like until he was like well into adulthood to realise like I can just go and enjoy a weekend away without like thinking about everything I'm gonna buy.
Yeah, that is so true. But it's so crazy because, even like you'd probably be better off buying a ticket like to go abroad and shop there rather than going for a shopping spree in Iceland, because you're gonna end up saving money, even with the flight ticket, and the accommodation and
The
everything.
hotel, yeah. And have a nice experience while you're out as well.
Exactly. Might see the sun. Wouldn't that be shocking?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, what do you enjoy the most about living in Iceland?
I feel very safe here. I think everybody says that. I don't, it's not even just that there's like lower crime than in other countries, sure. But it's just I don't know. It's just a feeling of things are gonna be okay. Like even though sometimes that's so ironic, if you think about things like the economy or inflation or whatever, obviously things are sometimes so crazy here. But I somehow just feel like we're gonna like we'll be taken care of. I don't know where that feeling comes from, but that feels very much like
Just
that here.
Icelanders constantly saying "Þetta reddast" and just
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Which is a concept I have a hate-love relationship to that.
Me too. Me too. It's overused in my opinion.
Definitely. No, it's really, I had it on the list also of one of the things I do enjoy most about living in Iceland. It is this like laid back culture. This is like it's the ability that you can make a mistake, it's the, kind of this like chill expectation also that it's just okay, like you just do your best and that's accepted and that's fine. And I also love the peace and quiet here. I love that you can just go and find a place with no people and it's so simple. You don't have to go very far. Like, well, that's very nice.
Yeah, actually, it is very, very peaceful here.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you'd like to see in Iceland? Anything that you
yeah, like I miss a little bit, entertainment scene, international artists, they obviously don't come here that often and it's quite difficult to like you always have to book a ticket, to go somewhere to like you can't really drive some like, it's like that's a little bit tricky. And then, another thing that I really think it's the other side of the Fetaredas coin. Like what I've seen here and what I've experienced, like I work in tourism, so things I've seen here, I would love to just see a little bit more safety in tourism, and just that, because I think that's the other side of this very laid back culture. It's like that's great, but then also we also need to care about things like safety standards and the quality, and that's really important and that actually does matter and that's actually not that red does, like somebody needs to red does that.
Exactly.
So I think, I wish there would be a little bit more of a forward looking kind of preparing, sustainability oriented culture in there. And I really miss hospitality culture. As someone I've worked in hospitality since I've been 15, and it makes me sad. I would like, I really the service here is just we could do better.
Yeah, I know.
And I say that as a German, no, we're not the best either.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. I used to work. I was a waitress in the UK for a long time, and worked in different customer facing roles. And then here, when I did the same here as well at some point, and I was shocked at the difference in like the standards when it came to customer service. And
Yeah. And also how you treat people in customer service. I mean, I've never been treated, and I can really say this, I've worked hospitality in almost 7 countries, and I've never been treated as rudely as I have been here by some people. And that's not to say that all Icelanders are rude. Of course, there's also rude people in every single country, but really as a level, and like what I've seen in every single country, it's just I do think we should also value people who work in hospitality, and I think those people work very hard, and people who work in customer service work very hard, and they're there to take care of you, so you should show them some gratitude, and not treat them like they're something else.
I think you should never be rude to someone who is preparing your food or bringing your food or anything anyway.
Yes.
Not that we would do anything, but still.
Yeah. No, and I've seen this so many times, and I also think there's a big, thing of like there's a lot of foreigners obviously working, in the front lines here, and I think it's very interesting this like kind of attitude of, like and I understand it, I think it's obviously I see it more from a foreigner's perspective, I can also understand it from an Icelander's perspective who wants to speak Icelandic in their own country. Yes, sure, I understand that, and of course they should always be able to, but really the economical situation here is just that, that they cannot fill those jobs without foreigners.
Yeah.
And also like Icelanders don't want to work those jobs most of the time, so I don't know, where are we there? Like, can we
balance?
Treat people with kindness who actually came here? Like, they're really, I don't think they're taking jobs away from Icelandic people. I really don't think that. So, like, why, be unkind to them? They're just trying their best,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I remember actually, I feel like, so I live in Selfoss now, but I have lived in Reykjavik, and I feel like in Selfoss I've had better experiences than when I used to live and work in Reykjavik. And actually thinking of that at the top of my head, when I used to work in a coffee shop, and I just thought of 2 experiences that I had, where one was like an older Icelandic man, older one, who I was talking to all the customers in Icelandic, and I'd been here like 6 months. It was like very, very broken, accented, but I was getting through and I was doing it and trying my best. And he came up to me and he just kind of smiled when he heard that I'd been talking it, and he just said, "Gott að heyra," good to hear, and is very, very positive. And then I think it was like the same month, it was some guy that was like similar age to me, like 20s, younger guy, who are normally generally more open, I feel. I'd been talking Icelandic to the customers, and then he heard it and came up to me. And before I'd even said Golden Day into him, the first thing he said is, "Don't you dare speak my language with a foreign accent." And I was like,
wow.
Yeah, and it's like,
God.
Yeah, exactly. And I always think of that, like, it's so difficult. And I feel like if people have had some of those experiences like that second one, it kind of scares people a little bit as well. And people sometimes will stop.
That certainly happened to me. A lot. When I started working here, I worked for Sky Lagoon when they opened. And it was really like, and that was when I was really like, I was going to university to study Icelandic. I was really like, okay, like I'm here, I'm going to learn this language, like I'm going to be a part of it. And then when I started having conversations in Icelandic with guests, the question when people would come up to me, and the question wouldn't be, do you speak Icelandic? They would say, "Er þú Íslensk?" Like, are you
I had
Icelandic?
the same.
And then every time I would be like, "Nei, ég er ekki Íslands, en þú mátt tala íslensku með mér." You know, no, I'm not Icelandic, but you may speak Icelandic with me. Because what am I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm Icelandic. You're gonna notice like 1 minute into me opening my mouth anyway, you know. And people would literally walk away.
Yes.
After me saying this, you know, and I'm like, well, I can't help that. I can never be Icelandic. I can try and learn your language, you know, but you've got to work with me here.
I can do the best I can, but I can't change where I'm from. I can't change my nationality, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. No, but I'm glad you've had some better experiences than Selfos. You know, I've also, especially recently, met just such lovely and kind, you know, Icelandic people who really slowed down for me. And also, you know, sometimes at work now, my colleagues, they just speak Icelandic to me and then I answer in English, you know, but they keep in Icelandic, and that's super helpful as well. You know, that's really great.
Also, just listening to the sentence structure and things is really, really helpful, isn't it? And
because you know, I can understand it, but then sometimes my mouth, it just comes blah. Like, you know, it's very hard to sometimes form it.
I sometimes have like, I know exactly what to say in my head, like the grammar, you know, my grammar isn't great in Icelandic, but sometimes I know exactly what to say, and then I open my mouth and just like it comes out, and it's like
my husband, he's trying to learn German now, and I see it in him, because I think German and Icelandic, it's such a fundamentally different way of like how you form like the word, the sounds, really, you know, how you use your mouth. And like sometimes especially if I've spoken German a lot and then I have to switch to Icelandic, I feel like I have like an egg in my mouth. It's like, oh, like, you know, it's like, what? It's just not coming out. Like, but yeah, and there's a lot of words that are similar in German and Icelandic. So sometimes, especially when I was, you know, first started like living here, there's stuff you just assume. So my mom-in-law, you know, one you know, time at the farm when I've been there for about a month maybe, you know, and I came to breakfast, you know, to her, and she asked me like, "Lena, er þú svangt? Like, are you hungry?" And I was like, "Oh, what is svangt? I don't know this word." And she's like, "Oh, svangur, you know, hungry." But I didn't, she just said like svangur, and in German, schwanger means pregnant. So I thought my mother-in-law had just like flat out asked me over like if I'm pregnant, and I was like,
just over breakfast.
I was like, oh no, your mother, like, you know, it was so funny, and she was so confused, and I was so confused. But stuff like that has happened to me so much.
I love the misunderstanding. It's brilliant.
It's so fun, you know. I think you really have to just laugh at yourself when you learn a language. Like, you gotta just be like, wow, that was hilarious.
I always remember my first year here. I was at a party and I met another British woman there, and she told me that she was on an Iceland air flight and she wanted to ask the air hostess for a blanket. Instead of má ég fá teppi, she said má ég fá tippi.
Oh.
Exactly. I'll put the translation on the screen. The air hostess was just like, "Well, I can't give you that, but I can give you a blanket." But I would be like, yes. And
that's brilliant.
These parts of learning a language, you have to get through the embarrassment though, because it teaches you a lot, and it's really Oh, all right. So, what do you wish that you'd known before moving to Iceland?
How difficult it is. I didn't expect it. You know, I mean, I've moved countries a lot before I came here, and I never had an issue finding friends, fitting in, you know, finding my people. And here it was so different. And, you know, I will say I've met people who've had a very different experience to me. I also moved here just before COVID. There was also a lot going on, you know, like, with that, and like moving kind of, you know, we moved then to the farm when COVID hit, and that was a very different experience. And obviously it's very difficult. Like, even when we moved back to Reykjavik, that was like October 2020, and there was nothing going on. So you cannot meet people, like you cannot make new friends. You know, I think in COVID, like if you already have friends, sure, you can, you know, but nobody's going to go, like nothing was happening. All the groups were canceled. Like, so I think I really had to think back of that a lot, because people speak about their experience in the pandemic. For me, I just have my experience of moving here. You know, it wasn't like I had my life and then the pandemic hit and then my life was different. It was like I moved here then my life was different. Then the pandemic hit, and then like for me, so I really associated that with Iceland a lot, and I think that might not have been so fair. I feel very differently now, that I've been in Reykjavik for a few years. Like I have really a great network of people, but I will say most of them are foreigners, so which is fine, and of course it's normal, but I think it has been a different experience compared to other countries, just how welcoming, like people. And that's also, I don't think that's just that Icelanders are so racist and don't want to be friends with foreigners. I think that's not the case. I think people, it's such a small community. People are friends with the people they've been friends with in primary school, and they have enough friends and they don't really need new people. And that it's like coming to a small town. Like it's just more difficult to kind of penetrate that. Like if you go to like a big city, people have moved there, everybody's kind of looking for new friends and everything, so yeah. But I've had to think about that a lot. I didn't know this before I came here.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult. I wish I kind of, I think I would have been less harsh on Iceland myself if I would have known about that.
Yeah, it is really difficult. Especially, I think, like for me, I started in Krogerði for a few months, then to Reykjavik, and then to Selfoss. After about a year of living here, and I think it took me about 3 years to feel like I properly got a group of people. Like I had, people that meet for a coffee from, and stuff. But I feel like, yeah, it took me a few years to actually feel like I had a community of people here. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Same.
it takes a while to get into it here.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that you're able to reach your full potential professionally in Iceland?
No, absolutely not. That's been really one of the things that's been really difficult. I think I was very career focused before I moved here. I had quite a nice career job. And I think I really underestimated like how small it is, how small the opportunities are, and also that yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of discrimination going on. I also think a lot of opportunities here, you only get it through your network, and that doesn't really matter whether you're Icelandic or not, I guess, but it's definitely, there's a huge barrier for that. You need to know the right people, and a lot of jobs, yeah, I don't know, sure, some of the companies have to legally write them out, but they're already given to somebody. And a lot of the, like, it's very, very, very difficult, especially if you're talking management level. And I've worked for a lot of companies where you've had a really qualified foreign frontline, and then a management team that's purely Icelandic.
Yeah.
And that's, very interesting. But, yeah, it's very, very, very difficult. Like, yeah. And I would definitely, everybody who needs to come here and is very career oriented, think about that before. And also, at the same time, it's given me the focus on other things in my life. So I've really actually appreciated that. But that was also, it was a tough cookie to swallow sometimes.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. Like in the UK, I was a jeweler, like a goldsmith. In Iceland, that's a protected industry, and my British qualifications don't translate over to the Icelandic, and it's all and it was
that is so true. Yeah, that's so difficult as well. I think there's a lot of that, and I think for me, I'm a manager. My background is in business admin and tourism management, so that's not so much. I also did my master's here, so I didn't have that problem. But I know this from Germany very well as well. Like Germany's not the most friendly country to like recognize foreign qualifications. And I've heard the same about Iceland, like. Even from people who like studied in Denmark and then they cannot get their qualifications like recognized here, which is crazy. Like why?
Yeah, very difficult.
Oh, and what I thought was insane was when I did my master's at Howard, they didn't have an Icelandic course.
Really?
So that and I complained about it for a year, and this I really don't understand, because I like, and in general, this like, yeah, we all come here, we want to learn Icelandic. It's so expensive to learn Icelandic here. They make it so extremely difficult. When I did a study abroad in Korea, it was a requirement for every foreign student to take a Korean class. It was I learned more Korean in my time there than I did Icelandic, in my time at Howard. Even though I really wanted to, I was like, why isn't there class I can take for credits? Like that, wouldn't that just be the most simple thing in the world? No, you have to literally take a full bachelor to learn this language. And who has time to do that or money? Like, I don't know, like maybe people do, but yeah. That's a huge barrier. I've also heard that it's actually cheaper to learn like Spanish or other foreign languages at the language school than Icelandic. Like I've not fact
True,
checked
actually.
this,
Yeah, yeah, I
but
think.
like
Yeah,
apparently that's
yeah.
yeah, easier. So I don't know, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I remember like I only took three Icelandic classes, but they weren't the full classes. So I think well a
Yeah.
full one is about 40 hours, I think, from memory.
Hmm.
There used to be a free school in Reykjavik that the council would pay for.
Yeah.
So I took the first three levels with that school. It's closed down now.
Yeah.
But instead of 40 hours per level, it was the same curriculum and it was still Íslenska fyrir alla.
Hmm.
Um, but it was 8 hours per level.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like really, really condensed. Barely got into the material before the course was ended. And yeah, yeah. And I
Mhm.
haven't.
Yeah.
That's literally the only Icelandic school I did here. But yeah, I think they also need to update the material a little bit, in my opinion. I don't know when it was written, but I feel like it should be. I think some of it's not that relevant anymore. And
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion, yeah,
definitely. I think this can really be done better, and also like they put a lot of pressure, I think, on workplaces to pay for this and do that, and that's great too, sure, but like I don't know, you want to integrate foreigners, like you need, I mean, they need people to come here to work. That's just a fact.
and there should
Like,
be an
and then
incentive. Right.
and they want everybody to speak Icelandic. They want to like protect the Icelandic language. So for me, the easiest thing to do is just make it
Offer it.
really easy for
Yeah.
make it easy and cheap for people to take classes. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
That surprised me. I've seen this done differently in other countries.
I
So
think so. Yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I heard that in Denmark. It might be Denmark, it might be a different country. I think the first 3 years of language classes are free. For the
Yeah.
first three
Yeah.
years after you move. And I think, yeah, if they did something here, I think there'd be
Mm. Yeah.
more
I looked
Icelandic.
it up in Germany, like, because I was really interested in that. Like,
Yeah.
and for them, they offer like a free integration class, so like you also get like, language and culture and
Yeah.
everything. And like, yeah. Mm.
I think this should be offered. One thing that I always thought that workplaces should offer, if nothing else, if there is an integration course,
Mm.
is I remember the first time that I experienced an earthquake in Iceland. I was
Ooh.
with an Icelander, it was quite a big one, the first one I experienced. And so I was with Icelanders when it happened, so they could tell me what to do. But if I'd been home alone or something, I would have no idea because I'm
Yeah.
not from a country with them. And I feel like that should be something that people are kind of taught, like where the safe places are to go and what to expect. Because I think the
Yeah.
thing that scared me the most, it wasn't the shaking, it was the
Mm.
noise. Like I'd never expect this. Like I always think it's like a demonic
Mm.
noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You definitely learn a different level of respect for nature here.
Yes.
I had this with everything. When I moved, my husband, he was like, "Oh, how are you driving in snow?" And I was like, "We got snow in Germany, not fine." Like, and then it was in my first blizzard, and I called him
Can't
crying.
see
I was
anything.
like, so it's just a little bit, more trickier. I've definitely gained a lot more of that respect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I took my driving license in Iceland, so I got my driving license 3 years ago, and I still refuse to drive in the winter here because
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard.
scared. Yeah, yeah. hmm
Okay.
Yeah. And what's your favorite Icelandic word, if you have one?
I have one framlengdingarsnora, or framlengingarsnora, I think it is. It's extension cord, and
Extinction.
because so my father-in-law, he passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately, but he when we lived on the farm, like, he didn't speak any English at all,
Yeah.
and my husband would go to work over the day. I was studying, like, it was COVID or it was all online. So I'd be in the house and he would come to the house. It was like, two houses on the farm quite close to each other. And he'd just walk over and he'd open the door and he would just yell Icelandic words at me until I brought him the correct thing. So, like, if he wanted something, Lena, and like, I would be like, oh,
Just guessing.
is it this? And he's like, no, not that. Until I learned a lot of words.
It's a good way to learn, honestly.
I will never forget it.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard that one actually. So that's a new one for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I will never like forget what it means.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, that was quite funny.
good one. It feels like an unnecessarily long word for like such a like just a
Yeah, and it just sounds
concept.
hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Right, well, I'm going to add that to my vocabulary, so thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
So is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't spoken about already?
Not really. Really like your questions. I think they cover, most things. I've gotten everything out that's on my heart.
Yeah. So I have one more surprise question from the last guest for you.
Mhm.
And it is, what is the weirdest Icelandic food that you've ever tried?
Ooh. I mean, when I lived on the farm, I've seen things. And I think my father-in-law, he would, I don't know if he did this on purpose or not. I sometimes think a little bit he did. Like every time I went over to the house, there was something weird in the kitchen. Like it would be like a sheep's head on the sink, or just a bowl of sheep's balls, like, cooking on the stove. And
Yeah.
I think he really enjoyed it because I'm not that fuzzy, I don't mind. But sometimes I'll be like, ooh,
Yeah.
and he would just think that it was so funny. And I think it was a little bit of a game between us. Um, but I think, wow, I would say I've never tried the haukat, like the fish, the stinky fish. I've never tried it.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I think would be, I don't know the word for it. I think it's sheep's brain, and I think they put it into like a jelly or something like
Yeah, is
that.
it Svida Sulta or something like that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my father-in-law used to have that for breakfast with wow, what do you call that? Oats, like
Yes,
just
yeah,
like
like
yeah.
porridge. Yeah,
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 porridge. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I really eat everything. I'm really not a fuzzy person, but here I've really reached my limit.
Really, yeah, yeah. Really push the boundaries of what food is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I have the excuse, I'm vegetarian, so my excuse for not eating any of this.
Lucky.
But
I should maybe make that up sometimes that I am that too.
but yeah. And is there any other weird foods that you think are particularly good? Any of the strange Icelandic ones or?
Oh, I don't know. It's really not my style of food. Well,
No.
I mean, I love fermented stuff. I really do. Like, I'm so into kimchi and all the Korean stuff.
Same. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. It's not my
No.
particular brand. Like Thoramad and everything that just makes me like gain 10 kilos in a night just by bloating is, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't love it.
Like a lot of people.
I mean, of course, I love beer. Like,
Yes.
obviously, it's the
Hmm.
best, and
Hmm.
it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice things, and the meat here. I mean, we get ours just straight from a farm, and it's just so lovely. Like, it's brilliant. Yeah, which you won't enjoy, of course,
No,
but
but yeah, but my father-in-law is actually a manager at the local slaughterhouse, so we
yeah,
always get like a lot of fresh meat from my boyfriend.
yeah,
And, yeah.
yeah, 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 and the fish as well. I love the salmon here. I mean, oh my God,
Hmm.
so, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Good. So yeah, so that is the end of the questions. So where can people find you?
Well, I would really like to advertise my netball club. So I am the coach of the Valkyries. We are the best and also only netball club in Iceland. Yeah, so this has also really been the thing that has given me, my social network.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a group of like really lovely, mostly foreign women. We have a couple of Icelanders as well. And it's just, really a lot of us don't have any experience in netball, even if you don't even know what it is. It's like so, just such a nice kind of community. And, you don't need to be like very good at sports or anything like that to come and play with people of kind of all, ages and, fitness levels and everything. It's just really, really nice to just have a little bit of a run and a play with, some other girls. And we're also going to Portugal this year to represent Iceland in a competition of netball.
Right.
So if anybody that is listening to this has a company and wants some ad space, we are looking for sponsors. So yeah, and the Facebook group for this is Netball in Iceland, and then people can find us there or just kind of contact me on Facebook, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, great. I'll put the link in the description below as well.
Yeah, that would be
Uh,
great. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
the netball club, did it start in 2020? Or
Um, I think it started quite a while ago. They paused and then they started again because they kept saying COVID. Yeah. And I think I joined 2021, I think.
Yeah, okay. So I think I was also, I think in 2020 or round about sometime in COVID, I have a friend who at least was at some point part of it. And yeah. And I also was considering coming, but I don't go to Reykjavik.
You should absolutely come and check it out.
Maybe I'll try it.
Trying to get Becca into it as well. So
yeah, okay.
And I'm sure we know.
So we share a ride. Yeah.
I've said it on the podcast. She needs to come now.
Yeah. She'll be watching this as well, so
yeah.
Yeah,
Becca, I'm waiting.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'll put the link in the description below, and hope you find some sponsors from this. We do have Icelanders watching this channel, so hopefully someone will be able to sponsor. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
So that's it for today's interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you did. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you live or have lived in Iceland and would like to share your experiences on this channel, please get in touch via my social media. Have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.